All right, everyone. Hello. Welcome to week two. I hope you all are having a productive week two. You guys are going to have to bear with me. I have a bit of a cold. So if I sound a little nasally, sorry. Um, this is going to be our second go to. Last week we had a great session with Naisha and we went over our why purpose. And now that we've kind of gone through those, now we're going to go ahead and see how that applies to managing your time and prioritizing those tasks. So I see some of my students in there. So hello to all of you guys and welcome. And I'm joined with the other instructors for behavioral science as well, Naisha and Michelle. They're in there in the chat box. I see everybody's kind of been chatting with each other. So, you guys, feel free to say hello to your instructors. It'll kind of help us with kind of like a roll call if you just say hello and then you can just put who your instructor is next to um, that hello, then we'll kind of get a good idea of, who's here. So if you guys want to say hello. All right, very nice. All right, so while I'm going through the presentation today, Michelle and Naisha will be in the chat box able to answer questions. I'll be answering questions as well, but probably towards the end. I'll give you guys a chance to ask me questions that you may have about what we talked about or about your project. And let's just get started. All right. Here is it's kind of like a quote that we kind of heard before. It's like one of those things, like a saying or something you've kind of heard, and I kind of just put it together from something really common. It says, success is being uncomfortable short term for a long term goal. So I want you guys to kind of look at this quote and tell me, what do you think this has to do with time management? I'll give you guys a minute or so. So, what am I talking about when I say success is being uncomfortable short term for a long term goal? How does that relate to time management? Looking for a couple of answers there. You can go ahead and write what your thoughts are in that chat box. So, how do you guys think that you will be successful by being uncomfortable short term or a long term goal? I have Terrell says, dealing with the bad to get the good of where you want to be. Elizabeth said, doing things we don't enjoy now for the better of a long term. They're all coming in, going through a process, sacrificing today for tomorrow's betterment. I actually really do like that one. Self discipline. Thank you guys for your thoughts. You guys are right on the money. Um, Basically, what we're saying is you might be uncomfortable today with how much you're having to kind of juggle, but you have to keep your long term goal in mind. So, as we're going through today, the section on time management, I want you guys to keep that in mind. You might, feel like there's so much on your plate today, but when you get to the end of that journey, it'll be so much more worthwhile. So think of that as we go through our section, and just as you go through this course and your other courses, keep your goals on the forefront. All right, our agenda for today is we're going to discuss what is time management. We're going to look at everybody's favorite procrastination, life's distractions, prioritizing, and then we'll get into week two and the project that is due on Sunday. All right, what is time management? So, over here looking at time management, um, we all know, like, a lot of times people say, oh, it's just managing your time. It seems simple enough. But basically, time management is how you balance your choices. So, how well you do a task, what it is that you are going to do, and when it is that you do it. You have a range of those skills and tools that can help you complete those goals, but you also need to realize that time management is not only going to be important in your academic and personal life, but it'll be in your career as well. So you want to make sure when you are thinking about time management, you're thinking of accuracy. Are you effectively utilizing your time? Are you, just kind of winging it, going through the day and not really focusing on how much time you're using to complete each task? Or are you purposefully completing everything? So you guys have to make sure that you use your time effectively. You don't want to just say, okay, I'm off today. Let's say, for example, you usually work and you happen to be off today on Tuesday and you're usually working on a Tuesday. What are you going to do on Tuesday that is productive instead of kind of just lying around and like, oh, let me watch some TV, I'll go wash the car maybe, let me get up at noon when you know that you have, a lot of things to do. So remember, it's not just about completing the task that you need to get done, but effectively using your time. Sometimes you can kind of push things off, to the far, far future. You're like, oh, that's not due until next week, so I'm not even going to worry about that. I kind of want to just relax today. When if you kind of, it's always better to be ahead than to be behind. So think about that as you go through. So, with that being said, we are in an age of technology. You'll often hear a lot of your professors as you go on to your core classes and your other general studies classes that they want you to be familiar with the different products out there, the apps, the software, and hardware we can say that's out there that can kind of help you not only in your career, but how can we apply this to time management? So I want you guys to think of some specific tools or apps that you guys can use in order to help you stay organized in your career, your personal life, and your academic life. So it's always great to kind of see what's out there. So does anybody have any cool apps that they use to kind of stay organized or a cool calendar? Oh, I hear some people over here in this chat box. Let me see if I can pull it over. Google Drive, Android Notes, and Calendar. Ooh, Clockify. I don't think I've ever heard of that one. Drive, Calendar, Reminder. Yeah, see, I wasn't the only one who never heard of that. Now I'm going to go ahead and look that up. And this is why I kind of wanted you guys to share because I know there's a lot of apps out there and, we all might not know. I hear, oh, it's a great app. And now you really got me curious. What does it do about physical planners? Yes, it tracks time. Okay. So we want to, and whenever you guys get a chance, as you're writing your discussion post, I know a lot of you guys have done it ahead of time and are not waiting until the deadline tomorrow to get all of those discussion posts in. But if you haven't, go ahead and, you can probably share some of those ideas with your other classmates. And yes, a lot of us do still use the physical planners and sticky notes. I'm like that person, like if you look on my mirror, you'll see a lot of sticky notes And when I was in school as well, I used to have like sticky notes like posted all over my walls to kind of remind me to do that. But a lot of times I kind of realize that they can get lost. So I try to add a couple of things in my phone that are really, really important. And I set like an alarm reminder. Some of us still use journals. Very nice. Sometimes you just need to write things down and then just cross them off. You get like a sense of gratification, like you're just, you feel accomplished when you go ahead and cross something off. Yes, I think it's exciting. So, well, that's good. It looks like a lot of us are in that age as well. All right, moving on. We're going to talk about procrastination. That's a big one for a lot of people, believe it or not, regardless of how much education or where you are in life, how old you are, what you're doing. I think we can honestly say we all suffer a little bit from procrastination. I think it's human nature to sometimes put off those things that we don't want to do. And if you guys look up here, the three things I have up about what procrastination is, it's like you resisting to take action. You're finding the task too difficult or overwhelming. And sometimes that's what might cause procrastination. Sometimes we have the best intentions, but you might, pull up, for example, the project for the week and you look at it and you're like, oh my goodness, that is just too much. I just cannot bring myself to do it because it's so many parts. You just kind of pulled all of them up together and you just did not feel like doing it. So I'm asking you guys, how many times have you kind of meant to do something, but you just put it off? Like you do not want to do this. Like there's specific things that you have to do, but you choose not to do it. Yes. And I'm telling you, it happens to all of us. So what do? You just rely on your willpower and you think that your success only depends on your level of intent, your motivation, and your mood. And that's the problem with procrastination. We're relying on our willpower. We're relying on the level that we're intending to do something, our motivation, and how we feel that day. So, if those are the three things that you rely on in order for you not to procrastinate, you tend to procrastinate. That's the problem. So, I have a little secret for you guys. Okay, I have a powerful tool to end procrastination. Are you guys ready? Are you guys sure you can handle this? This is like a nail biter. All right. Everybody can. All right. All right, here's the secret. Oh, I gotta go back. I didn't have the secret on there for you guys. I'll tell you, the secret is make it easier. That is the secret. Make your task easier. So basically, it's just about chunking. That is it. So if you have a task coming up, think of it this way. Imagine you had to paint your whole house. And you hate painting. You don't like to paint. You're not a painter, but you're efficient enough to get it done. So So I'm sorry, I was laughing at one of the comments that they bit off their acrylic nails, getting nervous, Janae. I that's funny. But imagine if you all were having a house and you had to get it painted and you hate painting. You're not a painter, but you can paint enough to get by. So thinking of, oh, I gotta just paint this whole house, it can be so overwhelming and you're not gonna want to do it. So what you need to do is make that task easier. You can either enlist in help. That's probably what I would do. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Or you can go ahead and do it a section at a time. Some people always think that if they kind of sit there and they just do a task all at once, that's what's going to help them in procrastination. You'll have the intent of wanting to do that, but at the end, it really doesn't cure you of procrastination. You want to go ahead and ease yourself into those things. If there are certain things that you're always putting off, those are the things that I'm talking about that you want to kind of make it easier for yourself. Chunk it out, put it out into increments, make a chart, make a calendar, and say, okay, I have to do this project and there's 3 parts. So let's go ahead and do part 1 on Monday. I'll do part 2 on Tuesday and part 3 on Wednesday. And if you make it consistent for every week, it's going to become a habit. You're almost going to feel like, there's something wrong with you if you don't do it. So I want you guys to kind of think about that and say, do this until it becomes a habit. If you're one of those students who are constantly getting their assignments in late, continue to train yourself. Set an alarm on your phone. And that's why I was talking to you guys about the technology, because we have a lot of tools at our disposal that we can use to help us get out of these habits. So I'm seriously telling you, like, if you can just chunk it out every day of the week, do Monday through Friday, you can even take the weekends off and not have to do any work. If you sit down and you chunk out your assignments, it will become a habit. And if you guys continue to do this after, like, by your second course, it's almost going to come naturally. And you're going to feel like there's something wrong with you if you don't kind of go do it. So you might be like out with your friends and you usually do like your homework assignment at 5 o'clock and you're like, no, this doesn't feel right. I got to go back home. I got to get, part 2 of my project done on a Tuesday night because, this isn't me. You're going to start telling people that, well, no, this isn't me. I can't watch that show right now. I got to go ahead and get this assignment done because that's what you're used to doing. So just try it. A lot of you that are struggling with getting your assignments in on time, I'm seriously telling you to try this out and you will see that it will become a habit. All right, we're going to move on to life's distractions. This is, a big one. What do you guys kind of think what causes distractions? When you say life distractions, what are some things that kind of stop you from doing your work? I see my kids, video games, kids, social media. Having kids, I can tell you, I can relate. Cooking 3 times a day, work, social media. I'm seeing that kids is a big one in work, managing. Somebody said, if I don't want to do it, everything will. That's a fair statement. If you do not want to do something, anything can really distract you. You can just be sitting there and then a fly, flies by your window and you're like, ooh, a fly. And then you're not going to pay attention to your assignment that you were working on. You're like, why didn't you do your discussion post that's due tomorrow? Oh, I was watching this fly and he went over there and met some friends and then it turned into like a soap opera and I was paying attention to that all day and I didn't get my discussion post done. Don't email that to your professors. They will not excuse it. All right. All right, so some of those distractions are obviously people. You guys said kids. Yes, kids can be a distraction. A lot of times I like to do certain things after my kids go to bed. If your kids are like some of people's kids I know, I won't say my own, but and they don't sleep, you can just bribe them. I don't know. You just gotta find a way to get them to be quiet long enough for you to do your assignments. Or maybe if they go to school and they're not there, that would be another time. Or if you have young kids, you can kind of get them to pretend that they're doing homework too. Aw, yes, having your 5-year-old on your lap now. See, sometimes you can kind of have them on there and just kind of see their parents going through school. I always think that's really important as well, um, to have your kids see you doing something positive and moving on with life. I've always made sure that I let my kids know whenever I was in school and what it was I was doing. Kids tend to kind of do what they see, not necessarily what you say. So setting that example for them is very nice. All right, another top distraction is your phone. Um, I know that a lot of times when you are, wanting to get something done, that phone rings or you get a social media notification or your Candy Crush notification pops up and it's like, oh, your lives are refilled. And you kind of want to go ahead and do that. Yes, email, text messages. Our phones have now turned into like these lifelines, and everything we have is attached to our phones. So remember that. Oh, another one is your body. I know that that sounds a little weird, but yes, your body can be a distraction. If you're not taking care of yourself, you're not eating right, you're not taking care of your basic needs, that can kind of cause your body to kind of shut down. Yes, for example, like a headache. Let's just say you didn't sleep well the night before and, now you're really tired. How are you going to concentrate on getting the things that you need to do done? Not only just schoolwork, but even just with your work life and your personal life. So taking care of your body is like number one. Always remember, and this is what I tell a lot of parents, always remember you cannot take care of anyone else if you don't take care of yourself. So always remember that you need to eat right. You need to get your rest. You need to make sure you are protecting yourself and you're showing other people good habits, especially if you do have others that look up to you. So, yes, I'm seeing a lot of comments on there about self care, and loving yourself and appreciating yourself. The last life distraction I wanted to talk about was your environment. That's another big one. It's going to be really difficult for you to concentrate on what it is that you're doing if you're in a loud environment, if you're somewhere really hot or you're somewhere really cold. Um, if you're somewhere where they're kind of having a party and having all this fun and then you're like in the trying to get your work done and everybody's like, oh no, come over here and play beer pong. I don't know what people play, like just come over here and do that, or let's play Monopoly or Uno, pool. Yes. Or everybody, you're at the beach trying to get your work done and everybody's throwing sand in or your laptop. So, those are just some things that you kind of want to think about your environment. So maybe that's not the best place for you to get your work done. You kind of should, be in a comfortable spot where you're not hot, you're not cold, it's not loud, and you can actually focus on what it is that you're doing. All right, the next thing we're going to focus on is prioritizing. I have a little chart here, and you guys can kind of look at it. This is like a Tuesday. We're going with Tuesday night because today is Tuesday. So if you guys look at the 4 tasks here, one of them says help kids with homework, 2.4 project, pack boxes. Let's just say you're moving or something, and finish your book. So I just want you guys to kind of think, what do you think the high, what is like very urgent and which one is very important? So which one of those 4 things would you think would be the highest priority? Kids. All right, everybody's going with kids. And honestly, it would depend. The Help Kids with Homework would depend. And yes, that's the one I picked because um, usually kids have homework every night except for Friday night. At least mine do. And if that's the case, that's very important because you want to make sure that you are instilling those good behaviors in your kids. And if they need help, you are helping them with their homework. And it's very urgent because it's due the next day. But if your kid has a project that's due next week, then you would need to flip flop your 2.4 project and helping your kids with the homework. It's all about balance when it comes to prioritizing. You have to always do what is due first before you do the other. Your kids can be your top priority, and I don't want you to think that because you're helping them second with their homework that they're no longer your top priority, but you have to also remember which one is more urgent. You need to remember which one needs to be done first, and those are the things you need to focus on. Also, like with moving is very important, obviously, especially if you have to be out of your house at a certain time. But once again, how urgent is it? If you don't have to be out the house until next month and your project is due on Sunday, I would work on my project and then pack boxes. Prioritizing is really important, and being able to balance your time and set specific things for specific times will really make a big difference in your life. The hard reality is we're pulled in so many directions that we can often feel overwhelmed, or we feel like every single thing has the same level of urgency. But if we sit down and we think about it and you make a plan, that's when those things can kind of move on, and we can focus and we can get more done if we actually make a plan. All right. We are going to go ahead and move on and start to talk about week 2 assignments. Um, we are for 2.1 and 2.2. In my course, I've kind of been noticing that a lot of people are going through the activities, but they are forgetting to mark this as completed. So I want to make sure, as you guys, after you read the workbook, and you watch the video, or if your instructor has a section apart for you to read or something for you to complete, make sure you hit mark as completed. It's that red little box. If you do not hit that, that is why you're not getting the credit if you complete it on time. Remember, those assignments are graded. Those are a relatively easy grade, I like to say. So don't give up those points. So make sure you read through the material, you watch any videos, and you go ahead and you click mark as completed. You do not want to lose points on something, so small. Those points will come in handy. So, sometimes when you're on like kind of like the border, and if you would have done those read and reviews, it would have kind of took you over to the next grade. So don't take those for granted and get a 0. And a lot of you guys know with your go-tos as well, you're getting points for doing that. So make sure you guys are going in and marking those as complete. Anybody have any questions on those? I know I got a couple of emails on them, and I just wanted to focus on that to make sure you guys understand that they are due that Sunday night when your projects and stuff are due. And also, you want to make sure you're hitting mark as complete. So try to get those done first because you actually need those to complete your assignments. So I hope everybody has that's in the go-to now has gotten a chance to go over the workbook, because when I start talking about the project, we are going to talk about a couple of things in the workbook. Okay. All right, now we're going to talk about the week 2 project. I actually really like this week's topic and the project because we're doing something that's kind of useful for everybody. I want you all to kind of think of your life and, where you see your career after you're out of school. And, a lot of you guys in the chat said you had kids, and just imagine trying to balance all of those things, and you're kind of just going by the seat of your pants. You're not really writing anything down, and you might get overwhelmed and you're starting to forget assignments, or you're forgetting, your kid needs you to go do that or go take that somewhere. So this is where this fixed commitment calendar comes in handy. um, at the bottom of the section, you're going to see a part that says project to calendar template. A lot of people are having issues with this. If you do not have Adobe, the PDF reader on there, like the real version, it will erase your answers. So you might want to see if you can copy it into Word. I've seen a lot of people do that, or they'll copy it into PowerPoint. Scott is saying he does a screenshot. I've seen students do that as well. You can fill it out, but when you save it, if it does erase, you can take a screenshot and then take that and put it into your PowerPoint or your Keynote or Google Slides or whatever it is that you're using to complete your project. So make sure that, if it is not saving, you guys take a screenshot. You can recreate your own calendar. I've seen some really cool calendars that people have made. They've kind of went a little, they went above and beyond because they knew that this was something that they were going to use in their everyday lives. So I want you all to make sure that you're actually, doing something that will benefit you. I don't want you to think that this is seen as like a busy work assignment, because this is actually a really good tool that you all can use in your everyday life to kind of keep you organized. So get in the habit of, even if you don't like this format, get in the habit of getting something, find a format. The whole point of this is to kind of get you started and to see what you like and what makes you comfortable, but get in the habit of writing those things down and breaking your day down hour by hour, because that's really important. And we're talking about creating those habits. We're talking about getting to the point where it becomes natural for you to not procrastinate and complete your assignments on time. And this kind of gives you an overall picture of your day. One thing I did learn is we always say we're too busy for a lot of things, but the reality is we have more time than we really think. And breaking down your time specifically by the hour, it will give you a better idea of how much available hours you really do have. So here's what the calendar looks like. At the bottom, another thing I've kind of been noticing on the project as well, there's a few people who do not total out the hours. The whole point of this part of the project is so you all can give us those total available hours. We want to know how much time it is that you do have that's free. How much time do you have, to get all that work done? So make sure you total out the available hours. And that's all the way at the bottom of the screen where it says total available hours. You can, highlight it, make it bigger, do what it is that you have to do in order to get those hours. All right, part 2. This is another little section that, a couple of people might struggle with. Part 1 was the commitment calendar. We talked about how you guys are going to go ahead and either take a snapshot, a screenshot, and you're going to put it into the PowerPoint, or you're going to make your own calendar, or you're going to download the template. Now for part 2, what we're looking for are actual completed paragraphs. Remember, and I know I say this a lot, if you are in my course, you're probably going to hear it a few times if you're one of those people who does not like to write a bit. A paragraph is 5 to 7 sentences. So make sure you are completing your thought and you're providing supportive details, and you are writing 5 to 7 sentences per paragraph. When you are submitting your PowerPoint, it's better to organize your PowerPoint by parts. Make sure you're labeling each part. And you can also label your time management concepts. So if you kind of look here, there's you're supposed to do a 6-paragraph response. You're going to choose 3 of those time management concepts, and you're going to discuss those concepts from the workbook. And of course, label the ones that you're choosing. If you want to put the label at the top of the paragraph, you can, or you can simply bold the time management concept that you chose to use. So you're going to choose 3 from the list, and then those are the ones that you're going to discuss. Remember, 5 to 7 sentences for each paragraph. Each topic needs 2 paragraphs. So if you're choosing 3 topics, 2 paragraphs for each. So make sure that you're doing that, and you're answering everything and providing supportive details. And then also, when you're organizing your paragraphs, organize them into actual paragraphs. Remember to indent, and then remember to hit enter or return, depending what type of computer you're using when you're starting a new paragraph. And try not to do all your paragraphs on one PowerPoint slide. It's a presentation, so you want it to flow very nicely. I wouldn't personally do 2 paragraphs on each slide. I would probably do 1 paragraph on a slide, but if you do 2, it's not the end of the world, and that's, up to your instructors. But remember, it's a presentation. Don't overly fill that slide all of your paragraphs, and it makes it really small, and it's difficult for your instructors to read it as well. So it's okay to kind of spread out. You guys have like a good amount of slides that they let you use. Like it's not like a trial where they only give you like 3 slides. You're allowed to use 1 slide for each. So hopefully that kind of helps you guys get through that. And then part 3, this is like one, for some reason, I've been noticing quite a few students tend to skip this one. And I think it's actually, not a bad little thing. But it's a to-do list. Remember how we were talking about some of you guys like to kind of write things down? A to-do list is a great idea. At the beginning of the week, you want to write down all the things that are scheduled and what it is that you have to do. But for this assignment, that's exactly what you're going to do. So whatever you have to do for the upcoming week, you're going to write it down on a to-do list. It's a very simple concept. You're just listing the things that you have to do. And you're going to want to number each one of those in order of priority. So basically, it's a goal. So what it is that you have to do, and number them by priority. Elizabeth says she makes one daily, and I think that's actually a very good idea. When I used to make a to-do list daily, I used to get more things done. So I'm actually thinking about going back to doing that. And I told you that satisfaction feeling of just being able to cross things off your to-do list, it's like amazing. So you guys should think about that. And so the ones that don't like to use pen and paper, you all can use your phones. And there's like a section, either most phones have like memo or note, and you can just go ahead and put your to-do list on there. And even if you don't even want to do that, most of the Androids and the Apple phones, you can just speak it to your phone and say, hey, if you have an Apple, hey Siri, remind me I have to do this, and that today. And then it'll like, okay, and it saves. So just, There's no excuse for us to not write down the things that we need to do and get done. All right, that is it for week 2. Does anybody have any questions on anything I went over? Do you have any questions about the project? I know some of us were not comfortable with using PowerPoint, but or any kind of presentation. Just remember, you guys, just go ahead and thank you, Ronald. I got told I rock today. Okay, so if you guys do have any questions, go ahead. Yes, Keynote is approved. I had a question. Is Keynote approved? It is. All good. You're very welcome. Good idea. I use the calendar, but not the to-do list. I definitely will start. Very good. Well, I'm glad you all enjoyed this session. I enjoyed giving this session.